So I've been thinking recently that Sea of Thieves is long overdue a map expansion. This has been a hot topic for the game and something that is highly requested. Just to curb your hopes, the map is not being expanded anytime soon, at least outwards like the Devil's Roar. I think it's only fair to dream and would be a shame to never ever get an update like Forsaken Shores again. Without further ado, here's 5 regions that need to come to Sea of Thieves. Of course, this was going to be first on the list. It's possibly the most likely and most requested region Rare could add. In the game we only get a glimpse into it as the ferryman pulls us from the treacherous waters to bring us back to the land of the living. Believe it or not, there is a lot of concept art left over from the Sea of the Damned. It seems like it was planned to be a biome that we could explore, but seems like it was scrapped. Spoilers, this isn't the only one on our list. Here we can see some ghostly outposts that we would spawn in and sell our ghostly loot. It looks like there would be colossal objects like statues and hourglasses to sail around instead of the regular rocks. I really love the concept art because it shows Rare had plans to diversify the map. I feel like the map is currently split into 2 parts, where the Shores of Plenty and Ancient Isles share things in common like the Wilds and Devil's Roar. Rather than sunny pleasantness versus grey ruggedness, we'd at least get a change in palette and drastic change in scenery. I certainly think it was cut due to difficulty in implementing it. It wouldn't make sense to be part of the overworld, so it would have to be a separate map or even server. Therefore, it would divide the player base and even the servers. Say you joined a server and 3 out of 5 of the other ships were at the Sea of the Damned, it would lead to a dead overworld. Nonetheless, I think it's a cool concept and may be implemented in some way in the future. I would like some exclusive loot that you can only sell in the Sea of the Damned, and maybe an exclusive twist to change your approach to adventuring. Maybe a limited time in the water away from your ship, or a lack of food available in the world but the respawn timer is shorter. I'm just spitballing here, I'll leave this up to the devs. I have to be honest, this is my favourite concept by far and was heavily inspired by the cut concepts in the artbook again. The Sea of 5 Winds draws inspiration from East Asian cultures from around the 16 and 1700s, but the environment is heavily inspired by South Asian coastlines. Think Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End during the opening scene in Singapore. God, I fucking love those films. The Sea of 5 Winds would be situated to the south of the Ancient Isles. The region would be smaller but denser compared to other regions, with a focus on beautiful beaches, one large outpost featuring a river, and more vertical islands. To better visualize it, take a look at the concept art I've dug up for this. The best way to make it different would emphasize parkour, ladders, and add some swinging ropes to traverse the islands. As the larger islands will have less landing spaces for your crew, you're encouraged to use the mast and crossbeam to access the island. Most islands will have enough water passing through them with enough space for sloops and rowboats to counteract any frustrations from the vertical rocks. The islands would be littered with Asian-inspired ruins, shrines and architecture, with plenty of Asian-style cosmetics for both your pirate and ship. Something I would also like to see from this is expansions to wildlife and food. As for new fruit, let's get some appropriate regional fruit. The fruit would only spawn in the region and would have additional effects compared to regular fruit found in the rest of the Sea of Thieves. We have the pomelo, guava, jackfruit, durian and dragon fruits. They give you back 20, 30, 50, 100 and 100% health back respectively. The pomelo negates full damage for 5 seconds, the guava gives you a small amount of extra health, the jackfruit resets your drowning meter, the durian makes you vomit instantly, and the dragon fruit makes you resistant to fire for 5 seconds. The fruit does have a lower spawn rate than normal due to the rarity and increased effects to stop people stocking up too much on it, but like cursed cannonballs, they offer an advantage for those who want to take the time to build supplies. As for animals, I think Komodo dragons would be a neat addition, bats too, so there is an aerial animal to hunt, and tapirs as well as a sort of reskin to pigs. I could imagine Rare making the Komodos spit at you like the snakes with stronger venom, but also offer more meat. I just think it would be fantastic to have more wildlife and consumables in general, even if it meant not adding a new region. Of course I was going to put a fucking ice region on this list. I take back what I said. This was the most requested one by fans, and there was even an amazing concept by Max Simonell for the Frozen Fangs. Sorry if I mispronounced that, Max. He's an amazing artist and has some great Sea of Thieves concepts, so check out his art station, link in the description. I was really disappointed the Frozen Horizon set was added to the game without an ice region because they really don't fit the aesthetic of the tropical Sea of Thieves. I do like the design, they're just a bit out of place in my opinion. The Frozen Wastes will be situated to the north and northeast of the Wilds. Think of large icy seas with constantly moving icebergs that could deal lots of damage to your ship. If the Titanic was torn apart by an iceberg, think how badly our ships will fare. Obviously this will heavily lean on Viking themes, the boarding axes will make an appearance, and we'll have plenty of wintry cosmetics. This concept has been done to death, but check out the link for something way more creative than I could ever come up with. Now, I can get out of this silly outfit. I feel like an ashen Santa Claus. This idea was based off this piece of concept art called The Ruins of the Forgotten. Essentially, it's drawing heavily from Mesoamerican architecture, which is what the ancients seem to be based on anyway. We can see this reflected in the obsession with gold and the statues at Tribute Peak. The Sea of Stone would be west of the ancient isles and act as the original home of the ancients. Not only does it take the imagery from the ancient isles and dial it up to 11, but the larger islands include temples, man-made passageways, traps, and thick jungle biomes. The region is meant to encourage exploration and getting lost on the islands and bringing in more human elements to the environment. The thick jungle is meant to obscure your view from your ship to ensure you have to be more wary of your surroundings, allowing ships to better creep up on you. The loot present in these islands would be abundant and resemble Aztec gold. Personally, I would like a set of tall tales based in this region to uncover secrets of the ancients. It could act as a good way to fill in the gaps of the lore from long before the Sea of Thieves we know and love. The outpost would be pretty much built into the ruins of an island, with large pillars and walls to obscure visibility, but with a large step pyramid that you can use as a lookout point. The island's geography is mainly flat, and the verticality will come from the man-made structures that dominate the horizon. I think this one is really interesting, if I do say so myself, although you can argue it'd just be the ancient isles turned up to 11. With all that being said, it does match the Sea of Thieves aesthetic the best, at least in my opinion. Finally, completing our list is this Arabian/Moorish inspired biome to the northeast. The region is heavily inspired by North Africa to the Middle East, with Moorish-style castles and forts spread across the region. Very few trees exist and even less vegetation. This is essentially a sea of sands. The main outpost is completely man-made, as a coastal fort with high walls and cannons to defend your ship when offloading at the cost of only one access point. There are a handful of ancient ruins on some of the larger desert islands, which are inspired by the burial chambers of the later Egyptian tombs in the Valley of the Kings, complete with ancient-style paintings and rooms full of gold. Like the Sea of Five Winds, a lot of the cosmetics will draw inspiration from Middle Eastern and Arab cultures, featuring bright colours and more silky garments. There will be a unique branch of Merchant Alliance here that traded in spices, textiles and livestock, which offered longer voyages to take them back to the merchants stationed in the rest of the Sea of Thieves. This is clearly inspired by Eastern spices fetching hefty prices in Europe. The skeletons would have scimitars and sport clothing similar to the Moorish soldiers. The skeletons would be equipped with firebombs to mirror the use of the Muslim army spreading the grenades to China before the 10th century, where they employed Greek fire in warfare. This would be a great time to add a more potent firebomb that is more water resistant. These would also have to be rare, like the new fruit, to not be so overbearing. Spices will be added too, with pepper and saffron crates that can be found washed up on beaches or floating in the water. They will contain spices that can be added to food to increase their overheal capabilities, or filled and sold to the Merchant Alliance, as the individual spices will be found in barrels. I also think this would complete the generic biomes that are popular to most games: the fire level, the ice level, the desert level, and the jungle level. It would neatly round off the map for Sea of Thieves too. Here, take a look at a really rough concept. As much as I want a new region, it doesn't really change up the game that much, unless the region is paired with new mechanics such as the Devil's Roar. We can see the Devil's Roar being mostly barren nowadays, partly because of the abundance of loot in the rest of the regions and the decreased server ship count. To make this achievable, the Devil's Roar would most likely have to be changed to be more attractive, or simply add more ships. The servers are struggling as is with 5 ships, and at this point it really is clipping the game's wings a bit, as there is a limitation to what can be added. Nonetheless, it's still nice to dream and imagine these things. I would love all these biomes to be added with a massive 24 ship server, but I hate to admit it, it's a pipe dream. With all that being said, maybe things will change. Rare managed to get round the Shanty issue, so I have a bit of faith, unless they just make a sequel to better prepare the platform for new stuff, which is unlikely. Anyways, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed the concepts featured. As always, I'm looking to expand the channel, so please drop a like, comment and subscribe if you have enjoyed. Oh, and I'm running a giveaway on my captaincy video, which will close in just over a week's time. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.